At dawn, ships enter Rome's harbor, loaded with Egyptian grain. The crowd's already waiting. So is the emperor, because if those sails don't arrive on time, the city riots by nightfall. Rome has conquered the world, but today, it waits to be fed. And history's about to decide what dependence costs. By the 1st century, Rome was no longer a city sustained by its own land. Its fields could feed maybe a fraction of its people. The rest, hundreds of thousands, survive on grain shipped across the Mediterranean, on schedules that couldn't slip. This wasn't private trade, it was state survival. Through the annona, bread was subsidized for over 200,000 citizens, tying food directly to imperial authority. If grain failed, the emperor failed. Publicly, violently. That made Egypt more than a province. It became Rome's lifeline. As long as the ships sailed, the city lived. When they didn't, the consequences moved faster than any invading army. This story isn't about Rome's enemies. It's about what happens when an empire builds its survival on a supply chain it can't afford to lose, and how dependency, once created, always collects its debt. If this is the kind of history you want more of, you can subscribe, like this video, and let's continue. Grain ships slide into Rome's harbor as magistrates count sails from the quay. This is Rome, early morning, 1st century. The crowd's already awake. Bread lines form before the ovens even heat. Officials unroll wax tablets. Numbers are checked twice. Rome can't feed itself. Its fields sustain perhaps 100,000 mouths. Nearly 1 million others depend on grain crossing open sea. This isn't rumor, it's policy. The annona guarantees subsidized bread to hundreds of thousands. It's written law, enforced expectation. That policy binds the emperor to the harbor. If ships arrive, order holds. If they don't, the city moves first. Men remember the riots. Stones thrown at officials. Statues dragged down streets. The grain comes mostly from one place, Egypt. Fields along the Nile flood, then yield. Harvest becomes survival hundreds of miles away. This morning, the sea's calm. But calm isn't control. Pirates raid routes. Storms scatter fleets. Governors delay shipments. Each risk stacks, quietly. No reserve waits inland. No alternative harvest stands ready. The emperor doesn't speak yet. He watches the count. His authority rests on these hulls. This is the trade Rome accepted. Conquest without farmland. Power without self-sufficiency. The decision was made generations earlier. Expand the city. Import the food. Trust the system to hold. Today, it does. Barely. Enough grain clears the docks. The crowd exhales, but the margin's thin. One lost fleet would change everything, and everyone knows it. Rome survives this morning, not by strength, but by ships that arrived on time. The city's fed itself for another day, and with that relief, dependency tightens its grip. Officials strike the grain tally into tablets inside Rome's administrative hall. The count from the harbor's carried uphill. Messengers move fast. Delay invites rumor. This is where the policy becomes personal. The annona isn't charity. It's a contract between ruler and crowd. 200,000 citizens receive bread at state expense. Not occasionally, not symbolically, regularly. The distribution begins at fixed points across Rome. Wooden counters, stone steps worn smooth by feet. Guards posted early. The emperor's name is invoked without ceremony. Not in praise, in expectation. If bread's short, blame follows a straight line upward. From baker to prefect, from prefect to palace. Past emperors learned this quickly. Crowds don't debate causes. They react to absence. One misdistribution becomes a test. Two become accusation. Three become violence. That's why Egypt matters more than any legion. Grain from Egypt arrives not as cargo, but as legitimacy. Each shipment renews authority. The emperor signs orders tightening oversight. Port officials are warned. Naval patrols expanded. These aren't reforms. They're defenses against panic. The system works because it must. No buffer exists if it fails. No city stores months of surplus. Every loaf eaten today depends on tomorrow's arrival. Every calm street rests on unseen schedules. This is Rome's chosen structure. Feed the masses. Bind them to the state. It buys peace, but at a cost. Control flows outward. Risk flows inward. By nightfall, the bread lines disperse. Order holds. Yet the promise has been renewed again. And with it, the expectation that Rome will never miss a delivery. The city sleeps fed. The emperor sleeps watched. The emperor seals a directive limiting who may govern Egypt. This decision's made in Rome, but it's aimed south. No senator may enter Egypt without permission. No rival may build a power base there. Egypt isn't treated like other provinces. It's isolated deliberately. Its loyalty is managed, not assumed. Grain from Egypt feeds Rome more reliably than conquest ever did. Lose it, and the city starves. Control it, and the capital survives. That reality reshapes imperial policy. Governors are chosen for obedience, not ambition. Legions answer directly to the emperor. This is fear, not paranoia. Civil wars have already proven the risk. Whoever controls Egypt can choke Rome without a battle. The Nile floods on schedule. Harvest follows. Ships depart in long columns. But the system now has a single hinge. One province carries the weight of an empire. One disruption threatens millions. The emperor understands the trade. Centralized control. Accept fragility. No alternative supply is built. North Africa supplements, but doesn't replace. Italy can't scale. This isn't neglect. It's calculation. The machine's already too large to redesign. By tightening his grip on Egypt, the emperor buys time. He doesn't buy safety. Every safeguard narrows flexibility. The grain fleets continue to arrive. Bread continues to be handed out. The city remains calm. But Rome's survival is now conditional. Not on strength, not on victory, on the uninterrupted cooperation of distant fields, river floods, and officials who must never hesitate. The empire stands, balanced on one province, with no room left to fall. Couriers arrive late from the harbor, reporting ships still missing beyond the horizon. This happens in Rome, mid-season, with bread already baked for tomorrow. Officials listen. No one speaks first. The delay is small. Days, not weeks. But the margin was always thin. Word spreads before confirmation. Crowds gather early. Bakers hesitate, counting sacks twice. The cause is distant and ordinary. A dispute among officials in Egypt. Orders contested. Ships held at dock. No rebellion yet. No open war. Just hesitation. That's enough. The prefect drafts notices urging calm. Guards are repositioned near distribution points. Extra patrols watch the streets. This isn't famine. It's anticipation. And anticipation moves faster than hunger. The emperor convenes advisors. Options are limited. There's no reserve to release. He could reduce rations. That invites anger. He could delay distribution. That invites suspicion. Doing nothing invites both. The missing ships arrive 2 days later. Grains unloaded at speed. Bread resumes without interruption. Publicly, nothing happened. Privately, everyone felt it. A minor delay exposed the truth. Rome's peace rests on timing, not abundance. Authority depends on logistics, not loyalty. No reforms follow. No new granaries rise inland. The system returns to motion unchanged. Because it worked. Barely. The emperor marks the incident as resolved. The city exhales again. But the lesson remains, unspoken and sharp. Rome doesn't need an enemy to starve. It only needs the schedule to break. And schedules, once strained, rarely heal themselves. Naval reports arrive describing burned hulls and missing escorts along the African route. This isn't rumor, it's confirmed loss. Ships attacked before reaching open water. The Mediterranean isn't empty space. It's contested. Pirates watch grain routes closely. They don't need to win battles. They only need to delay. A single seas convoy echoes inland. In Rome, Officials react immediately. Patrol orders expand. Escorts are reassigned from other duties. But ships can't be armored. Grain can't outrun weather or ambush. Every defense adds time. The Emperor authorizes harsher measures. Captured raiders are executed publicly. Rewards are posted for informants. These actions reassure no one. The sea remains wide. The routes remain exposed. In North Africa, captains delay departure, waiting for protection. Each delay compounds the problem. Schedules unravel quietly. Bread distributions continue, for now. But sacks arrive later. Quality drops before quantity. The crowd notices. They always do. This is the cost of scale. A city this large can't adapt quickly. It can only react. The Emperor considers alternatives. None exist that matter. Italy can't compensate. Egypt can't accelerate. The system was built for flow, not shock. And the shock has begun. By the time additional patrols stabilize the route, weeks are lost. Not enough to starve Rome. Enough to warn it. The city remains standing. The streets remain calm. But dependency has gained a new form. Not just on provinces, on uninterrupted control of the sea. Rome now depends on water it doesn't command. And every wave between Africa and Italy becomes a threat that can't be conquered, only endured. Messengers arrive reporting fighting between rival commanders along the Nile. This isn't invasion. It's internal conflict. And it matters more than any foreign threat. In Egypt, authority fractures at the top. Orders contradict. Shipments wait for signatures that never come. Granaries remain full. Ports remain intact. But nothing moves. That's the danger of bureaucracy under stress. No one wants responsibility when power's uncertain. Delay becomes self-protection. In Rome, the effect is immediate. The harbor reports gaps in arrivals. Officials stop promising dates. The Emperor faces a familiar trap. Send legions south and risk escalation. Wait and watch supplies dwindle. He waits. Civil war in Egypt is brief but decisive. Fields go untended. Labors are redirected. Ships rot at dock. Rome can't intervene quickly enough to matter. Distance turns command into suggestion. Bread rations are adjusted quietly, not announced, measured thinner. The crowd feels the change without explanation. Suspicion spreads faster than facts. Anger looks for a target. Guards reinforce distribution points again. Statues are watched. The city remembers what hunger leads to. When order returns in Egypt, the damage is already done. Harvest miss can't be replaced. Schedules can't be recovered. Grain shipments resume. But lighter, later, and fewer. The Emperor survives the moment. Barely. What changes isn't policy, but understanding. Rome doesn't control its lifeline. It negotiates with it. A province in turmoil has reached across the sea and tightened the capital's throat, without intending to. This is dependency made visible, not as collapse, as vulnerability. And once vulnerability is seen, every future disruption carries more weight than the last. Reports arrive from Africa confirming new rulers at the ports. Vandal banners over grain docks. This is no raid, no delay. Control has changed hands. In North Africa, the Vandals take the coastline intact. Granaries stand full. Ships remain seaworthy. But Rome's authority ends here. In Rome, the news lands without ceremony. No debate follows. Everyone understands the implication. This grain doesn't need to be destroyed to be lost. It only needs to stop moving. And it does. Officials draft contingency orders. They are symbolic. Italy can't fill the gap. Egypt can't compensate alone. The Emperor considers force. The legions are too far. The fleets are too thin. Time favors the new rulers. Bread distributions shrink again. Now openly. Lines lengthen. Voices rise. This isn't panic yet. It's calculation by the crowd. How many days remain? The Annona was built for reliability, not negotiation. There's no clause for loss. No mechanism for replacement. Rome sends envoys. They don't return with grain. They return with terms. The city has become a customer, not a master. Its survival depends on cooperation from those who now control its food. The streets react first. Shouting replaces patience. Guards lose ground. Statues are defaced. Officials hide. The palace closes its gates. This isn't the fall of Rome. The walls still stand. The army still exists. But something irreversible has occurred. The supply chain has broken at its source, and no decision in the capital can repair it. Rome doesn't collapse today. It begins to empty. Families leave quietly, then openly, then permanently. The city has lost not a battle, but the ability to sustain itself. Dependency has reached its final form. When control is gone, so is the city. Officials close distribution points as the last reserves are counted and divided. This happens in Rome, not after a siege, but during routine days. No horns sound. No enemy gathers outside the walls. Bread rations are reduced again, then suspended. Not by decree, by exhaustion. The owner can't function without grain. Clerks stop reporting. Bakers shut their doors. Crowds don't riot at first. They calculate who has family elsewhere, who can afford transport. Those who leave earliest suffer least. Artisans close workshops. Merchants sell what they can carry. Homes are abandoned intact. Furniture remains. Doors are locked. Carefully, the emperor remains in the city. Authority still exists. It simply can't provide. Legions don't intervene. There's no enemy to fight. Hunger isn't a target. Within months, streets thin. Markets shrink. Silence replaces noise. Rome's size becomes a liability. Empty districts rot quickly. Infrastructure fails without upkeep. This isn't collapse by violence. It's retreat by necessity. By the time officials acknowledge the scale, the decision has already been made by the population. The city that once pulled food from 3 continents now pushes people out. Not by force, by absence. Rome still stands. Its walls remain. Its monuments cast shadows. But dependency has completed its work. A city built to be fed from afar can't shrink slowly. It must shed people fast. The final consequence isn't starvation. It's abandonment. Rome doesn't fall in a single moment. It's left behind, one family at a time. A clock seals empty ledgers and leaves the granary keys on a stone table. This is Rome, a generation after the first cuts. The action is small. It's final. No grain is expected. No schedules remain to track. The owner no longer exists in practice. Streets once measured by foot traffic are measured by silence. Fountains run, then stop. Maintenance ends without announcement. Those who stayed longest did so by habit, by memory, by faith that shipments would resume. They don't. Markets operate weekly, then monthly. Coin loses meaning where food can't be promised. Trades collapse into barter, then into nothing. Officials still hold titles. They issue fewer orders. There's no mechanism left to enforce care. Families dismantle homes for fuel. Roof beams are pulled down. Stone is reused elsewhere. This is the last action of dependency. When supply fails long enough, the system reverses. The city feeds the countryside instead, by being taken apart. Rome isn't conquered. It's consumed by departure, by reuse, by forgetting. Within a lifetime, the numbers tell the story. From over 1 million to tens of thousands. Not through massacre, through logistics. The decision that once built Rome to import survival rather than grow it now dictates its limit. No emperor announces the end. No decree closes the city. People simply stop arriving. And without arrivals, a city this large can't remain a city. History doesn't record a final day of hunger. It records absence. The consequence is visible in action, not words. Keys left behind, doors closed, routes no longer traveled. This is how dependency collects its debt. Not with drama, with silence. Rome ends not when it's defeated, but when it can no longer be fed. And there you have it. History is full of these incredible moments, and we're just getting started. If you want to experience more epic journeys through time, Subscribe to Dramatic History Journeys and hit that like button. See you in the comment section.